Alright everybody, it's now Tuesday afternoon and I set my minnow trap out yesterday afternoon, so the time has come for us to go down the street and check the minnow trap. I originally wasn't planning on bringing any minnows home. I was only going to try to get some crayfish out of the trap, but I've noticed I've lost quite a few minnows in the last several days, and I'm actually looking at this one now. And he looks pretty rough, and I'm not exactly sure what is going on with him. It does not look like it's been attacked by the Mayan cichlid here, and I don't really know why the Mayan cichlid would attack it. If it was going to be eating any of these minnows, I'm sure it would just, gobble up some of these smaller minnows, not attack and go after this larger one. But it also looks like it's sort of raw, like its skin has been scraped and maybe its scales have been scraped off. So that leads me to believe that the Chinese algae eater that I put in this tank, I just saw it a minute ago and I don't know where it went. But I wouldn't be surprised if the algae eater is doing that. I really don't think it's my water. I do have trouble keeping certain fish alive in my water. I'm not going to get into it now. I mention it all the time. I have odd sort of water, and it takes a while for some fish to adapt, and some fish just never do. I don't think this is the case, though. These chubs have been in here for a while. I've got plenty of other chubs in here that look perfectly fine. This one looks like it's been chewed on by something, so I'm kind of guessing that it's that Chinese algae eater in here. So maybe at some point I'm going to have to get rid of that fish altogether. It's done a great job at getting the tank cleaned up. You can see how much all that brown has been removed, and now we've got nice clear rock exposed again. You can see the wood is all nice and scraped clean. This rock over here is getting nice and cleaned up. So that algae eater is really in there doing a number. He's even cleaned the glass on the end of the tank for me. But if it's going to mean he's constantly in here chewing on fish, I don't necessarily want that either once we get this tank established into something that's going to be more long-term and more of a stable sort of population in here. Right now, I kind of expect these minnows to sort of come and go. The tank's a little bit rough and tumble right now, but in time, we will get this tank established to a stable community, and if that's the case, then I'm not going to want that algae eater in there chewing on other fish. Speaking of the devil, he's right there. So, at any rate, let me get going, and I will see you all right down the street. We're just going to go ahead and empty the trap and find out what we've got. So, sit tight, and I'll see you in a minute. Alright, everybody, we're going to take a little drive down the street. Alright, so today we're just collecting whatever is in the trap that I've got set out. But very soon we will be going upstream to the other place that I like to put the trap out, and we're going to see if we can catch some different stuff up there. I just got a new pair of water boots, and they showed up at the house the day I hurt my back. So I've been itching to get out and try them out, but unfortunately have not been able to do so. I had to go out and work a little bit this morning, and that was probably more than I should have done, and I'm going to pay for it later, but I didn't have any choice. I had to get some work done, so that on top of this is about all I'm going to be doing for the day. So even just a brief little stroll around in the stream is going to be more than I think I should be doing. So we're going to have to wait for another day to get those water shoes checked out, but I'm really excited about it. So here we are. I just got to turn around and get parked, and then we'll get over there and we'll see what's going on with that trap. Alright, now let's just hope the trap is actually still here. I can see the cord and I can see the trap. I have lost traps out here before, come down and it's just gone. This is public property, but it doesn't happen very often, so I don't worry too much about it. Got a nice load of crayfish and not very many minnows, so that works out pretty good. That's exactly what I wanted. Okay, that's everybody. Alright, we'll come back and check it again tomorrow. So we have 3 little minnows, and it looks like about 8 or 9 crayfish. So that'll be perfect. Alright, I'll see you back in the fish room. Alright everybody, we're back. You can see that little sunfish right there is starting to get plump and fat, and he came right up, so he knows the feeding routine. Even though normally I'm feeding them with actual fish food, but today we're pouring in all this live stuff. So here we go. So the crayfish will probably spread out fairly quickly. It will be interesting to see if the Mayan cichlid comes over and takes any notice of all the new crayfish in the tank. That's mainly the reason I'm putting all these crayfish in here right now, is this Mayan cichlid down here eats them. And while I do see him eat the cichlid pellets I put in there and occasionally freeze-dried shrimp, he eats the algae wafers, he eats all kinds of stuff I put in there. But I still either think it's just not enough, or just instinctually this fish would attack these whether it was getting a good diet or not. So I just want to make sure it's got plenty to eat while I've still got it. I'm hoping we're not going to have it in this tank too much longer. There he is. Hoping I'm not going to have it in this tank too much longer, but for now, as I keep saying, if it's in there, I've got to make sure it's got, you know, ample food sources. So we've still got a bunch of crayfish down this end that don't know what they're doing or where they're trying to go. Got 3 or 4 of them over there on the air stone in the corner climbing around. So if you ever wonder how crayfish get out of tanks, they're good swimmers and they're awesome climbers. So if you've got a cord that runs up the back and goes out, if there's a small gap there, that crayfish will work its way through there. And they're strong too. They can force their way through. If it's got, you know, a piece of plastic there and it's not an actual gap, they'll just push it out of the way and crawl through. So you've got to really secure a tank if you've got crayfish in it. They definitely are climbers and escape artists. Many people have, you know, come downstairs or whatever, you know, come into their fish room to find a crayfish dried up in the middle of the floor in another room in the house somewhere. I had an electric blue crayfish one time, and I came downstairs one morning and I saw some movement out of the corner of my eye over by my washing machine in the other room. And I looked, and sure enough, it was the electric blue crayfish. He was barely alive, but it was still alive. It unfortunately did not make it. I got it right back into the water as quick as possible, but it was so close to death that it didn't ever really revive. So that was how I learned the hard way, to make sure you secure your tank if you've got crayfish in it. They will figure a way out of it. Got another one hiding up behind the power head back there too. Well, I don't see any more excitement or action going on. The Mayan cichlid is just sitting in the corner, and most of the crayfish have sort of dispersed and done their thing. And as I've been saying, my back is still nowhere near back to being good. So this has been a bit much for me, and I'm going to have to call this video good. So I will say thank you for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, that way you won't miss anything I got coming up. I will be back on my feet here full time pretty soon, so we'll be getting lots more video of this tank as well as all my others. Don't forget, this one's my native tank. I'll see you real soon in the next one.